something else has come up now, neck to neck with heart disease, and that is cancer. God, in his wisdom and mercy, gave us herbs that will kill cancer and will not kill us. Isn't that good news? But it's an anti-cancer herb. It is also the best anti-inflammatory herb.
When it comes to tackling two of the most common health problems, cancer and inflammation, many of us turn to conventional medicine. But what if I told you nature held the key to treating all the nasty health issues? Renowned natural health expert Dr. Barbara O'Neill teaches exactly this, armed with her BHSC method of teaching.
Bible, history, science, and common sense.
It's no wonder her students share their superb recovery testimonies after trying her recipes within a short period of time. Today, Barbara will teach us how to use 5 common herbs to kill off cancer cells and ultimately stop inflammation, so watch this video till the very end for all the juicy details.
In Psalm 104 verse 14, the Bible says that God gave herbs for the service of man. I love that verse. You just picture the herbs coming in. They come in and say, "Where would you like me?" Dr. Colin Campbell's book, China Study, where he shows that he could switch cancer cells on and off by the amount of meat and dairy products he was giving to the rats. There's hardly a meat that is safe today because of the way they're fed, because of the way they're killed, because of the way they're stored. It makes it so much easier on the vegetarian diet. What is the benefit of turmeric? You can Google that and find out some wonderful things, but it's an anti-cancer herb. It is also the best anti-inflammatory herb, and they're very potent. So very good if someone has inflammation, it'll get the inflammation down.
Dr. O'Neill starts off with turmeric, a vibrant yellow spice often used in cooking. She explains that turmeric is a potent anti-cancer and anti-inflammatory herb with a 1,000-year history of use in native India. According to research published in the MDPI journal, turmeric's most active compound, curcumin, has shown promising results in the treatment and prevention of cancer, as it can inhibit its growth, reduce angiogenesis, the growth of new blood vessels and tumors, and decrease metastasis, especially those affecting the digestive system like colorectal cancer. It also has the potential to improve heart health, reduce inflammation, and prevent Alzheimer's. So how can you achieve the benefits of this yellow goodness? Well, Barbara recommends you take about 800 milliliters of turmeric capsules on a daily basis, or just cook with it to benefit from its healing properties.
We have a capsule we sell at our health retreat. It's 800 milligrams per capsule, our turmeric capsules. Now we're going to have a look at ginger. Ginger is one of the best anti-inflammatory herbs that we have. Probably on equal to it, especially internally, would be turmeric. And earlier in the week I talked about taking high-dose turmeric, say capsules, as an anti-inflammatory if someone has inflammation in the body. And we've had some great results with that. Ginger can be used internally and ginger can be used externally. Internally, it's an anti-inflammatory. The easiest way I think to have this is to grate it. So you grate it on that little grater, and you'll grate about a teaspoon, and you put it in a little teapot and pour boiling water on it, and let it sit probably 10 minutes. If it's too strong, you just water it down a little bit. If someone's very cold, maybe they've been caught out in the cold or something and it's very hard to warm them up, give them a cup of hot ginger tea and it will warm them up very nicely. So it can be used for nausea, it can be used to warm a person if they're chilled or cold. And you saw too, it is one of the recipes in the flu bomb. Now we're going to look at what you can do with ginger externally. Now where ginger is particularly helpful is in joint inflammation. Now in a minute we're going to look at another vegetable that you can use for tissue inflammation, but this is specifically joint inflammation. So this will be, say, a sore lower back. It can be arthritic pain or gout pain. It can be used for any inflammation in the joint area.
To use the ginger externally for healing, Dr. Barbara advises you grate a small medium quantity of the ginger into a napkin or towel, then fold it into a pack. Ensure that the outer layer of the napkin not facing your skin is lined with a plastic bag to lock in its healing juices and prevent it from soiling your clothes. You then place the ginger poultice on the affected area and hold in place with a cloth or bandage.
And how you make it is you would get a cloth, or you can get a chucks, and what I do is I fold over Glad wrap a few times, and then I put that down and put the cloth on that, and then you grate it. So on such a fine grater, it's like a pulp, and you can spread it out. I'm gonna pull one side over and then pull the other side over. So I've made a little parcel, you see that? And the area that only has one layer is the area that's going to go on the sore knee or the sore elbow or the sore wrist or the sore back. So where you would use this, maybe this is a poultice for a toe that's got gout. Maybe this is for an arthritic finger. And let's say a lady has a painful joint here, an arthritic joint. Then you would put it on there and then you bandage it on. My suggestion is, if you've got any painful joints and you're going to use ginger, apply it about 6 o'clock in the evening, because if that joint is inflamed, the skin can get very, very hot. Some people have said, Barbara, my skin's burning. I said, the good news is your skin won't burn, but if you can handle it, sleep with it. And some people say, I can't handle the heat. I said, well, just take it off. Even just being on for half an hour will take some of the inflammation out of the joint. It appears that the ginger pulls the inflammation out of the joint to the skin, because if there's no inflammation in that joint, it won't get hot. Cancer is a fungus. Garlic is a potent fungal killer. Garlic is a very potent antibiotic. In fact, the research is showing is 6 times more powerful than tetracycline, and that's a common antibiotic. To use it as an antibiotic, you would need probably about 3 of those a day. Now, if someone says, my gut couldn't handle 3 of those a day, what you can do is you can get a bowl of hot soup, grate it into the soup, and that'll just take the edge off it if a person cannot handle it raw. Or something delicious to put into your baked potato. And some people choose to do the antibiotic sandwich, which is a slice of sourdough spelt toast, olive oil on that, and then grate this whole clove of garlic onto the slice, and then avocado and tomato. It is very delicious. It's almost like a little mini pizza, isn't it?
Garlic is also a very potent ingredient for Barbara's miraculous flu bomb, which says bye-bye to the sniffles as quickly as they came. Don't believe me? Here's exactly what she says.
You can take the flu bomb. So the flu bomb can be used for bronchitis, it can be used for asthma, it can be used for the flu, it can be used for pleurisy, it can be used for pneumonia, it can be used for sinus or a head cold. The first ingredient is garlic, and the garlic is crushed. The next ingredient is ginger, and the ginger is usually, well, it can be finely grated, and usually the ginger is about 1/4 teaspoon. The next ingredient is eucalyptus oil. If you don't have eucalyptus oil, you can use tea tree oil, and it's 1 drop. Next ingredient is cayenne pepper. The next ingredient is lemon. The last ingredient is honey, and usually it's approximately 1 teaspoon. And then you mix that in about 1/3 cup of hot water. Now, if someone has a flu or a cold or a sinus, it's usually taking one of those 3 times a day. Usually by the 3rd day, you don't need it anymore. That's quick, isn't it? It's quite potent, but it works. So that's the flu bomb. So I'm going to do something else that you can do with a raw onion, and that is make an onion syrup. And to make the onion syrup, you chop up onion and you layer it with honey. That's a little bit much. You do about 1 centimetre of onion, and then you do about 1 teaspoon of honey over the onion. Now, if you have a organic, non-GO, non-irradiated onion and you cut it up, you'll start crying, won't you? That onion juice has an effect to stimulate the respiratory organs to clear and to thin the mucus. The feet are a reflex for the rest of the body. Specifically, the feet are a reflux for the chest, the feet are a reflux for the head, and the feet are a reflux for the abdomen. What we did was we chopped up the onion like I'm doing right now, and we got 2 little plastic bags. Now, James is only 3, so little onions is good for a little one. And we put about tablespoon of onion in one plastic bag, and we put a tablespoon of onion in another plastic bag. And then we put his feet in the plastic bag. So his foot, the bottom of his foot, is sitting on the onion. And then you pull the plastic bag up around his ankle and put a sock on, and then put him back to bed. Not one more cough.
Next on the list is onion. Dr. Barbara believes in the power of onions to treat respiratory problems. She also created an onion poultice, which is for treating ear inflammation.
So it's with great joy I show you how to make an onion poultice. So you steam an onion on the stove, and you steam it like this. It's got to have that little core there, which will hold it all together. Now steam it or dry bake it. If you boil it, some of the healing properties will go into the water. And when it is soft, you cut it in half so that you're looking at the rings. Squeeze some of the juice into a teaspoon. When it's squeezed into the teaspoon, the cold teaspoon of course will cool it, and you can put that into the ear. And you can wrap it up with a tea towel or a hand towel, a cloth, or maybe even a chucks. And so you wrap it up until you can bear that temperature. And then that surface area there you would put straight on the ear. And then you cover it with a piece of plastic. What did they do before plastic? A square of wool. And then you might put a beanie on, or you might bandage it on. If you can keep it warm, you keep it on. The onion is a drawer, and it will draw the inflammation, reduce the inflammation.
According to an article published in the National Library of Medicine, onions possess sulfur components that alter the biological behavior of tumors or precancerous cells and decrease cancer risk.
Now what I'm going to do now is make onion syrup. Now this is one of the best cough syrups that you can make. I've put a layer of chopped onion in a jar, and now I'm going to put approximately a teaspoon of honey. Now another layer of onion, another teaspoon of honey. Now I'm putting another layer of onion. So we'll put an extra dose up on, we'll put maybe 2 teaspoons of honey on the top. So whenever honey is thin and runny in the winter, get worried. It's got sugar in it. So can you see that? Now that honey's just sitting there with the onion, but in about an hour you'll see a syrup formed. Now this is a cough mixture. And if someone's got a bad cough, they can have a teaspoon of that 3 times a day, or a child could have a half a teaspoon 3 times a day. So if your child's coughing very badly, give them a teaspoon of onion syrup, chop up the onion in 2 plastic bags, wrap it on their feet and put them together. They should, and you should, have a nice sleep that night. Cayenne pepper is a remarkable herb. Some people say we shouldn't use it because it's a stimulant. It is not a stimulant like caffeine or alcohol or marijuana is a stimulant. It's a blood stimulant. That means it's good because Leviticus 17:11 states that the life of the flesh is in the blood. So anything that moves blood is going to be helpful. There's a book you can get. It's by Sam Beiser. It's called Curing with Cayenne. And he shows in that book that you put cayenne with any other herb and it'll intensify that other herb's action. It's a blood stimulant. It does 3 main things internally in the blood. It thins the blood, it strengthens the arterial walls, and it opens the capillaries. So cayenne pepper can also be used to boost hydrochloric acid. You take it internally, it'll boost digestion. Cayenne pepper can also ease a sore throat. Well, what the research is showing today is that aspirin causes stomach bleed. It's the #1 cause of stomach ulcers. It causes brain bleeds and eye bleeds. That's what the research is showing. Cayenne pepper will not cause that at all. But if cayenne pepper's in your blood and it sees a bleed, it'll constrict the blood vessels to stop the bleeding. Yes, it dilates the blood vessels when it's in the blood, but if it sees a break, it'll constrict that. Beautiful illustration, Psalm 104 verse 14, that God gave herbs for the service of man. Remember? They're there to serve you. Where would you like me? What would you like me to do? Thin that, seal that. That's the cayenne pepper. In fact, it's just about a first aid kit in one. I'm going to show you how you can use it for poor circulation in the feet, cold feet. Their feet are numb. And eventually, the next step after numb feet is gangrene of the toes. You see, the blood's the life of the flesh. And any part of the body that's cold, blood's not going in there. So blood's not feeding the area, it's not feeding the nerves. You cannot put cold feet into hot water. or you'll damage the tissues. So what can you do? You can make a cayenne compress to put on the bottom of the feet. So to make a cayenne pepper compress, you get some paper towel and you cut it to the size of the foot and you put it on. I've doubled over a couple of layers of cling wrap there, and then you put a little olive oil on there. Not a lot, because you don't want to soil your sheets. So I'm just going to dab it on. So you can see I've just got a light sprinkling of oil there. And now I'm going to put the cayenne pepper on that. So you put about a half a teaspoon for each foot. So you can see the way I'm holding it up, the cayenne pepper is now sticking to the paper and the foot goes straight onto that. And then you put a sock on and leave it on all night. I have a book here, and I think everyone knows the book, Back to Eden by Jethro Kloss. He devotes half a page to every herb, but not cayenne pepper. He devotes 10 pages to cayenne pepper. It's one of the most remarkable herbs that we have. And it is true that cayenne pepper is a heating herb. Leviticus 17:11 states that the life of the flesh is in the blood. So anything that moves blood and moves blood a little bit faster to an area is going to increase the healing. And that's what cayenne pepper does. It is not a nervous system stimulant like caffeine, alcohol, nicotine. It is a blood stimulant. And so anywhere that cayenne pepper is applied will increase healing to that area. Cayenne pepper is a wonderful booster of hydrochloric acid. And so it is not a bad thing that it heats the stomach. It is actually a good thing because it increases digestion. And it really is a myth, too much hydrochloric acid. Dogs have 10 times the hydrochloric acid that we do. And that's why they can eat rotten food and it not kill them. So cayenne pepper, I'd like to read you a little bit from Jethro Kloss, some of the botanical names